How you doing, United Watcher? Here we go. Let me get a second video here, and that way we can be for sure ready. There we go. Oh boy, today's been a busy day, guys. Sorry. So I think I've explained to you what we're going to talk about today. Mainly the police officers' bill of rights, because that was interesting. I really like
What do you say there, G-Tag?
that. How you doing?
Good, man.
Good. So I got a few videos here, mainly explaining the police officers' bill of rights, also that Brady Act that we're going to talk about today,
Yep.
and the Georgia hate crime bill, which
What was that,
after
HB 838?
yeah, that one. So I think the video that I saw in Arizona really made me think about that. And I think like this would be a great opportunity to bring it up, mainly because it shows like a lot of corruption. And how you doing, I guess? It shows a lot of corruption and just a lot of manipulation in the system. Let me see if I can find that.
Yeah, I went through and reread the Bill of Rights and was looking over the Brady list. Is it the Brady Act or the Brady list, or both one and the same? It looks like they're one and the same.
Yeah, they're one and the same.
That's what I thought.
And it looks like I believe it's in Arizona. It's mainly held, but let me get this one here because this one is actually more detailed. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for that to load up. But
yeah, I think you tied this together well, because it's a good representation to show. It just shows a level of corruption that's just unfounded.
yeah.
Really is unfounded.
How you doing, Paul? I think what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna go ahead and share this full disclosure video here. And we're going to start with let's start with the hate bill crime. Let's start with that. Because I don't want to start off with something negative so far. Starting off.
Yeah, HB 838 out of Georgia.
Yeah, here we go. Share the screen, share audio. Good job. Got it. All right, so this is regarding the hate crime bill. If y'all haven't heard about this is actually very interesting. Georgia has started, the process of implementing a hate crime bill that will also includes police in that bill, which actually startles me. It gets me a little bit worried to ever visit Georgia, because mainly if you are convicted of a crime or accused of a crime, and you happen to say "fuck all pigs," I think I think they could probably get you for a hate crime. But I'm gonna let this video explain it, and as to some people's concerns about it. But let's just go ahead and listen. You know what I did? You know what I did? I muted the site. I do this all the time.
While you're doing that, one of the things that I find interesting is the way that they label it as police and first responders are now a class.
Yeah.
Instead of it's very interesting how they worded that.
How you doing, Joe Black? Here we go.
Tonight, civil rights groups are calling it a controversial move by Governor Brian Kemp. So he signed a measure into law that protects police and other first responders from what he's calling bias-motivated crimes in Georgia. 11 Alive's Hope Ford joins us live from the state capitol with the details. Hope?
Yeah, the governor said in a statement, the new law is a clear reminder that Georgia unapologetically backs the blue. Activists tell me the new law puts fear into communities protesting police brutality. For a month, protesters voiced opposition to House Bill 838, mainly saying the bill is unnecessary.
We don't want anyone dying. We don't want people dying. There are already protections in place for police officers. So what is the purpose of this?
Hannah Gebrselassie and Keith Strickland were two of the voices behind a movement asking Kemp to veto the bill, which makes crimes against an officer punishable by at least a year in prison, as well as a potential $5,000 fine.
We're fighting to see a better community. We're fighting to see safer neighborhoods. And he continues to fuel this tension and this system of oppression with bills like HB 838.
The law was passed in July alongside the state's historic hate crimes bill. The Georgia NAACP dubbed HB 838 the police hate crimes bill, since it also allows officers to sue people if their civil rights are violated.
So now if we say that something was an act of hate, or we say that this should be looked into more thoroughly, if it has a negative repercussion, now you can sue us.
Kemp said in a statement he attended the funerals of far too many law enforcement officers who were killed in the line of duty, and we must act. Gebrselassie and Strickland say they agree, but wanted police reform to be the main focus of the governor.
We don't want to see a police officer hurt. In no way is that what we stand for. What we're saying is that we want to live in a world where nobody has to be in fear.
Now, there's also a lot of support for the new law as well. A lot of viewers on our 11 Alive Facebook page thanked Governor Kemp for signing the law and for putting in place extra protections for police officers. Still, activists tell me that this only puts a fire under their movement, and they will continue to make sure their voices are heard.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, that whole thing.
There you go.
I got too many buttons. Yeah, I find that really crazy that is meant to protect police. I mean, like, they've already got qualified immunity, and in some cases they're removing qualified immunity and just replacing it with more laws, in my opinion, regarding this whole Georgia hate crime bill. I really do see it as a way to protect more police officers from, their misconduct, in regards to, protecting citizens at this point. There's already more laws. If you attack a police officer, you get extra years added on already. So again, I see this bill as being unnecessary, just a way to add on more charges to someone who's probably already committed an act against an officer.
Well, I think there's something even more broad than that. Also, from that is that it's actually stripping your rights under the First Amendment, and your ability to speak freely on how you feel about something, as long as the words that you're using aren't, you're going to kill someone or you're going to do somebody some harm. But if you're expressing yourself, this is actually taking that off the table, being able to express yourself. And then, like I said before, this is actually putting first responders and police in a class for a hate crime. I mean, I'm a truck driver, and maybe I should have a class too against things like that, because we get to hear the brunt of it as a truck driver. I mean, I just don't agree with it. I think it really is curtailing the First Amendment, and that's just my point of view on it. And I think the ACLU and the NAACP are looking to take this to the higher courts at this time. I think that's what I was reading on it.
I really do think they should, because, like they said, is if anything was to happen to an officer already, my opinion is, if anything is to happen to an officer, there's already assault on a police officer, which is a crime that you're going to get extra time for regardless. If I attacked a person on the street, compared to attacking an officer, I'm going to get more time because I attacked an officer.
Right.
So I don't see are they going to get double charges, or, how would that work? Like, how do you think that will work in the situation? Do you think it'd be like 2 charges instead of 1, or, would it be included as a hate crime? If, like, even if there was no hate or malice towards it, it's just like, as you as a class, a person, but just like enjoying, like, oh, I just wanted to beat the shit out of somebody. I don't know how this will work,
Yeah. I mean, if if you're looking at it, okay, so hate crimes are based on the ethnicity of someone or their particular identity or things like that. Now we're putting first responders and police in, or law enforcement, into a category under hate crimes, and it's just I mean, those are ethnicities already within those departments. Now we're adding another level to it.
Yeah, it's kind of like creating another race in general. Like, I feel like we're trying to create another race, which is why I laugh at whenever you see like Blue Lives Matter. It's like there's no really what's a blue life. I mean, I've seen Smurfs on TV, but I never seen like an actual blue person other than the Blue Man Group. But you know, I really think this is a way to just make sure that if anything happens to an officer, they're willing to pretty much bury you under the jail. That punishment was up to minimum 1 year, maximum of 5. So that concerns me mainly if they're going to tack on extra years for you. If you're going to serve extra time just because, you happen to do something to an officer, or even if you're being arrested and you happen to say, fuck the pigs or fuck the police or anything like that, will they tack on anything extra? Because again, they said, if they feel like their rights are being violated as an officer, they can use that hate crime bill to seek, remedy.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the comments here. Paul made a point on here that I was just reading, and it's actually what he's pointing out. It's actually taking that off the table, because if they can turn around and say something to you about, in the midst of whatever he was doing, he committed a hate crime. Now, whatever happened with that police officer is now off the table, because now they're saying there's some kind of hate crime added to it. So, I just see things coming off the table and police getting more protection, and they're going to be basically untouchable.
Yeah, I think it gets to the point where it's I already think it's at this point right now where the police have way too much power, way too much, and they can overstep it at any time and say, "Oh, I didn't know I was overstepping," and it gets wiped away. So,
and Joe, actually, if you look at the HB 838, where you're talking about, it's read HB 838. They are a class. As of January 1st, 2021, in Georgia, they will be a class unto themselves that you can commit a hate crime against.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and segue this one here to the Police Bill of Rights here. I think that'll happen here. But I want to hear you guys' opinion on this one. Because I had no idea about this until United Watcher told me about this. I was really surprised. Like, what? No way there's a Bill of Rights for the police. And
yes, there is.
Lo and behold, there is. Let me add this here. All right, I'm going to do a test one. Tell me if y'all hear a sound.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, I'm going to mute myself and let this play here.
Yeah, if my mic's loud, let me know. I can turn it down.
Hello, I'm David Roger, General Counsel for the Las Vegas Police Protective Association. This is another segment in a series of videos that we're producing to talk to you about your rights as an officer and as an employee of the department. And in this segment, we're going to talk about the Peace Officers Bill of Rights. This is found in NRS 289, and these rights are procedural protections that protect you during administrative investigations. And you can go to NRS 289, but 289 provides that if you are the subject of an administrative investigation, you're entitled to certain rights. You're entitled to notice of the allegations against you before you go in to provide an interview. You're entitled to representation. You're entitled to 2 representatives, and one of them can be a lawyer. You're entitled to due process. You're entitled to provide evidence that will explain away the allegations. You're entitled to rebut the allegations and the information against you. So these are all very important rights. Most important, you're entitled to Garrity protections. And so when you're called in for an administrative interview, you're provided Garrity protections, which, as you know, prevent the department and anybody else from using your statement against you in a criminal case. And if the department decides to violate those rights, an arbitrator by statute has the right to suppress or kick out your statement, your interview. And the district court has the right to issue injunctions to prevent the department from using those statements against you and taking any adverse action against you. And so these rights are very important. These are rights that California has. We're looking to expand some of those rights, but for right now, you're entitled to representation and you're entitled to a fair process. And that's what NRS 289, the Peace Officer Bill of Rights, guarantee you. As always, feel free to contact us at droger@lvppa.com. If you have any questions, if you have any topics that you'd like me to discuss, please send those to me. And of course, our videos you can subscribe to at LV.
All right. How you doing, Press On? So that's just a brief mention of the police Bill of Rights. I wasn't able to find many individuals able to discuss it, but the one thing I thought about that is that the police officers have the right to, have their actual words not used against them while employed at the police departments, basically, which goes against that administrative leave, I guess,
Right.
we always hear. So that's what it made me think of whenever I heard about it. It's like, oh, I bet he wasn't fired. And I guarantee this is why, in most cases, that they're not fired, mainly due to the police Bill of Rights. But I could be misunderstanding it, misrepresenting, or maybe misrepresented underneath my train of thought. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
It grants them extra protections that a normal citizen wouldn't be granted, having to go before court. I mean, if they make a statement while they're being interviewed, that statement can just be quashed and never even presented to the courts if they went to trial for something. And it just makes me think that, a lot of this is why officers, when there's some kind of conduct that they're having some kind of administrative investigation against them, never makes the light of day, and it's why they get exonerated on it, because nothing can be said about it.
Yeah, I mean, that I think it's funny how they always say, like, anything you say or do can be used against you in the court of law, unless it applies to an officer. At this point, it's anything you say or do can and will be used against you in the court of law, except for whatever I say, because, I got my Bill of Rights here, my protections. I don't like it. It's as simple as possible I can say. I don't like it.
I may be stepping out of bounds when I say this, but literally it makes me think that officers are strategically being given a license to kill. Literally.
I stopped calling badge numbers, or like any cop who asks for badge numbers. Like recently I just asked for kill permits, because that's what I really think they are. They're kill permits. I do. I don't think they're how you doing, Cybertron? I don't think it's a badge number anymore. It's just a permit for them to kill unjustly at this point. Like, it's a legal way for them to kill somebody. I've seen so much stuff. It's so crazy.
I don't know. I just think they're getting way too many protections and basically getting a free pass on just about anything that a normal citizen would never get a pass on.
Here, let me send out another invite to everybody, just in case if anybody else wants to join the chat. This is an open discussion, so you do have free reign to come in here, speak your piece. If you disagree or agree with me, I'm willing to listen. If you're willing to prove me wrong, happy to hear, as long as you're willing to educate me, and feel free to join, guys.
Yeah, press on. I'll tell you, the court of public opinion, yeah, but the court of public opinion isn't going to make them lose their ability to be a police officer.
Mm-hmm. So I've actually found two videos. I'm actually going to reduce one of these. I'm going to remove one of these here. This is regarding the Brady list. It's a Brady list here. And one of them, I'm going to get rid of them, which is a detailed Brady list. But this one video I'm going to show you is going to be an incident that was actually featured on the Batosi's channel. He gave a link to the actual full news story. I'm going to go ahead and share that. And basically, if y'all haven't seen the video, it was very infuriating. But there was also more to it that most people didn't see. But this news station, ABC Arizona, Channel 15, full disclosure, they shown so much detail, and there's not really much you can say that would say that the people they're arresting are guilty. Violent days ahead. How you doing, Sola? Sola Feed. Honestly, guys, if you want to join, you can. So let's go ahead and turn this up just a little bit. Just go ahead and share this. I'm gonna do a quick test. Tell me if you can hear it.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself and let you guys watch this entire video. It's 10 minutes. So if you guys want to go ahead and join in after this one, this will be the last video. This will be the last video, and then we can just have a full-on discussion about everything.
A troubling new chapter in our full disclosure investigation. We're revealing major problems with Arizona's Brady list, the lists that are used to track police who have integrity issues. Imagine a police department filled with those officers. Well, ABC 15 investigator Dave Biskuping about to show you exactly what that looks like. Bad arrests, excessive force, unlawful warrants, and unbelievable mistakes.
This is Superior, Arizona. It's small, population 3,000, a stop on the highway heading east. It's a town where everyone knows almost everyone. It's also a place where police officers know they can work when they've been fired from somewhere else.
You're about to see what happens when most of the officers in one department are Brady List officers. You'll meet them, see their past misconduct, then see how they conduct themselves. Now behind me, their police station. It's the scene of the first incident we want to show you.
You're here to pick up your friend?
I think you might have arrested me.
Okay, 1 second. Hey, Ensley, can you come here a minute?
You can't see him, but the officer is talking to Clint Peterson, who thought his friend had been arrested for drinking in public.
I thought I was going to go in there, get my friend, we were going to leave.
Now, there's a lot more backstory, but we'll get to that later.
I had no clue what was coming.
Our friend's friend is here. Our arrest. It is. Well, he's here to pick him up.
Get out there and record.
The two then walk around to the front lobby.
I'll let him
gas station told me that I arrest my friend.
Yeah, he's under arrest. He's going to jail. He's not being released.
How did you get in touch with him? Huh? How did you get in touch with him?
He called me from the gas station.
What did he say?
He said I need a ride.
Do you have ID?
I do.
Let's have a look. What's that?
Is that necessary?
Yeah, it is.
Why?
Is there any reason why you don't want
suspect?
Do you have ID? Yeah, you involved yourself in a criminal investigation involving our
I didn't
prisoner.
involve
Let's see
myself
your
in
ID.
anything. I came to pick up my friend.
Are you serious? Are you serious? Do you have ID?
Do I have to carry ID?
You have to identify yourself to the police when they have a reason to contact you.
Suspected of a crime.
Yeah, it's called refusal to give truthful name.
Let's quickly stop here. This is Officer Christian Ensley, 6th Department, either getting standards, demoted, or investigation, or fired.
My name is Clint Peterson.
Thank you, Clint. Not a good idea. Now, what do you want, Clint?
I came to pick up my friend.
How do we know you're not part of this?
Part of what?
Your boy ran from the cops in a long pursuit last night.
Wait, who's your friend?
We got false info for what?
Do not fight us.
Hey,
You're under arrest. Stop resisting. You're under arrest. You're under arrest. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest. You're under arrest. Put your hands behind your back. You guys did not lie to you. You just said you were with your buddy last night.
Commander Anthony Doran, 2 departments, the county sheriff, fired for sex on duty, later fired from Superior for having sex on duty again.
You didn't know we're going to educate you. You lied to the police. It's a class 1 misdemeanor. And now you're going to jail for resisting arrest. I did not resist arrest. No. It's funny because you got 4 cops on your back telling you to work.
Here are the police reports.
Think that those reports are true?
Wasn't too much noise. I'm gonna head out.
I mean, you can watch a video and tell.
This report states Clint became very agitated, took an aggressive stance.
Did you see an aggressive stance?
Were you resisting?
No, not at all. They had my arms. I could not move my arms.
You're under arrest. Stop resisting. You're under arrest.
Peterson was arrested on 2 charges, hindering prosecution and resisting. In the tiny Superior holding cell, you're seeing the friend he came to pick up, Aaron Mon. Now to get to more about what happened, the night before, after leaving Clint's home, Mon drove to Superior. Police say he refused to pull over for a traffic violation and then led them on an off-road pursuit through the desert and mountains. The officer wearing the body camera here, doing the pursuing, has his own similar criminal history. Officer Martin Sosa, 2 departments, put on Maricopa County's Brady list because in 2012, with Phoenix PD, Sosa was arrested for DUI and unlawful flight. He sped away at 80 to 85 from an officer trying to pull him over. This night, Aaron Mon got away from Sosa, but the next day, Officer Christian Ensley found him, here, laying on the ground, sleeping.
Relax. What's wrong? Cut your. You know exactly what's up. Roll over on your belly. Do it now. Go.
What are you talking about?
Cuff him up, dude. Lay flat on your back. Lay flat on your back. Do it now.
You can see the other reserve officer kneeling against his back.
Are you serious?
That's when a bystander across the parking lot speaks up.
Did you need some help? What's that?
That's a good support.
Really?
Yeah. He ain't doing nothing.
You have ID? Are you trespassing? Do you have permission to be here? Leave.
Now, before we show you more arrests, we need to talk more about Superior PD and what this one department exposes about larger problems with Brady lists. At the time of the cases you just saw, 2017, 6 of the 9 full-time Superior officers ended up on a Brady list somewhere, just not all of them on the county where they were currently working.
There's no centralized Brady database in the state.
Jared Keenan, attorney, ACLU, Arizona. He says that means defendants, defense attorneys, prosecutors, judges, juries will not know those officers' dishonest and criminal histories.
We found situations where officers are put on the list of one county and they leave and go to another county and they're hired and they're not on those counties' lists. So obviously there are big holes in the system. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't, because there's no requirement that the prosecutors who keep them share that information with AZ Post.
AZ Post, the Arizona Peace Officer Standards and Training Board, is the state board that licenses officers. When lying or criminal cops get reported to AZ Post, the board usually suspends or often permanently revokes their license. But like you heard from the ACLU's attorney, reporting is not mandatory. To see how big of a problem that is, we took our Brady List database that goes back 20 years and also got a record of every state board case since 2000. Compare the 1,400 on the list to every AZ Post case. There was no record that at least 400 Brady cases resulted in official state board cases.
They can move across town to another department. They can move to another county, right? They can move to another state. And none of that information is going to necessarily be tracked.
Now back in Superior. This disabled 120-pound man hospitalized in August 2016, beaten by Superior police during a raid. A judge determined police used misleading information to obtain a warrant. It was the end result of a day of questionable police conduct.
Couldn't tell you about that.
It begins here during an afternoon traffic stop. That man's nephew is the passenger in this car, stopped for a cracked windshield. Officers claim to find some marijuana and a pipe in the car, but not on him. The officer doing the search is Brian Lawrence. 2 departments. Yavapai County Sheriff, fired for lying. Later fired from Superior in 2019 for sex on duty, sexting on duty in uniform, and illegally searching his sexual partner in confidential databases. Now back to this search. The officers believe the nephew they're arresting is a drug dealer, so they used the arrest to get a search warrant for the motel where the man is living. There, inside, they found a small amount of marijuana, another pipe, but no stash of drugs or evidence of dealing. They also arrest this woman and began to question her.
You know, we don't ask questions we usually don't know the answer to. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Officer Richard Mueller, 4 departments. Pinal County Sheriff fired for sucker punching a guy at a Tempe bar and fleeing officers. After Superior, he went to Globe PD, then Miami PD, where he shot someone in a controversial case last year. Back to the search.
I don't know if it looks like a tampon, dude.
After failing to find evidence of a drug dealing operation at the motel, Officer Rensley decided to call a judge to, quote, amend the search warrant. Listen carefully.
We'd like to try the other residence that was articulated in the affidavit, his primary residence over on Sonora.
But that's not true. It's not the suspect's primary residence. It's his uncle's house, Richard Manriquez's house. And even though multiple officers rolled body cameras for hours throughout the day when they first served the warrant on Manriquez's house, they claim none of them had theirs on. Although as soon as it's over and he's in handcuffs, the cameras start rolling again. The officer searched the home, found nothing of substance. But among the items officers seized, a circular pizza cutter in a green notebook they claimed was a drug ledger. In fact, back at the station, Officer Rensley told the same woman about it. It's not a drug ledger. It's a notebook used to track scores of dice games. Manriquez's lawsuit is ongoing.
Them to be accountable.
As for Clint Peterson, he also sued.
I mean, this happens to people every day and they don't do nothing about it. And that's how it's got where it's gotten.
His criminal case was also dismissed, but it took a full year to get the charges dropped.
I went to court, I think like 8 times. The last one, they told me they're gonna give me 6 months in prison if I don't plead guilty. And no, we're gonna take this to trial. So
and then what
set it up
happened?
for trial. 2 days later, they dropped the case.
And during that year, officials never gave Clint this video, never turned over info on the officer's pasts, but still pressured him to plead. That's anything but full disclosure.
Because basically guilty until I prove myself innocent.
That's how you feel.
It's not how I feel, it's how it was.
I'm investigator Dave Biscobin, ABC 15, Arizona.
Superior's town manager did not respond to a request for comment. As for the Pinal County attorney, Kent Volkmer, he says the department has improved in recent years and believes Peterson did resist arrest. Dave will air his interview with Volkmer and other county attorneys about these problems later in the series. His investigation.
That's disturbing.
Yep. That's the video I was like, man, when you loop all this together, all these factors, if Arizona was to adopt Georgia's hate crime bill and the officers they already have now, 6 out of 9 were on the Brady list. And you can already tell that these, government entities are not looking at that Brady list when hiring. They're just hiring. And if you get put on it again, well, you're fired from that location. You go to the next. So this was the main thing I wanted to share with everybody. All those together, the Georgia hate crime bill, the Brady Act, the police, Bill of Rights, they have the right to tell you stories right to your face and then have that stuff discredited later on down the way and not be used in court. It's ridiculous.
I don't even know what to think about that. It's just, wow. It's, what do you say? I mean, I do know what I want to say because I did think about this. I'm a truck driver, and I got to tell you, everything that a truck driver does is on a graph. Your life is a graph, and it tells a DOT officer or anybody that's certified to look at it what you were doing and when you were doing it, and we're accountable for that. Yet now you got police officers that can't even be held accountable because of the hate crime bill, the Bill of Rights, their Bill of Rights, and the Brady list. There's no accountability for them. I mean, there's honest cops out there, don't get me wrong, but I mean, you're seeing it right here, how bad it is. And it's not isolated to just Arizona.
That's right. It gets crazy. But how you doing, Cybertron?
I'm not doing too bad. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm above the dirt. It's another day that ends in Y. So,
how you doing, Cybertron?
I'm pretty good. I just wanted to make a comment. You know, guys, I don't know if you guys realized that Jared Polis just recently did away with qualified immunity here in Colorado.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I heard about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, he did away with qualified immunity and said they must have body cams by a certain year. I think it was 22 or 23. They have to have it by that date. But, you know, it's all started off with Baltimore, I believe it was. Baltimore City got rid of qualified immunity and they went to that officer's home and damn near took everything he had because of like a $2.3 million lawsuit. But I hope all states eventually just adopt this because it opens the door for getting rid of bad officers more quickly than it does when they have the immunity, you know?
I agree. Mainly, I think qualified immunity will definitely start taking more out of the officers' pockets directly. You know, with my South Lake case, which is now resolved, the reason why they said, you know, oh, you don't deserve any more, which I was like, screw that, is because I didn't go to jail that day. You know, so if I had gone to jail, they would have said, oh, well, you deserve more, but I still fought for more. I'm not going to tell what I got unless if you ask me in a text, but. You know, we got something back. We made sure everything was resolved and everything was taken care of. But I still say, in general, qualified immunity definitely has to go because they're getting away with way too much.
I agree with that.
Officers know that they're going to get away with it because there was just a video, I forget how long ago, but LaSalle, Colorado is about 2 cities away from me. About 10-minute drive, I could be in LaSalle down Highway 85. And one of the officers had pulled over a Hell's Angel guy on a bike and told his partner he thought his body cam was off, but he basically said, I'm going to shoot the tall one. Hell, I need a vacation. I mean, they know that they're just going to take a vacation. And, you know, who else doesn't want to go golfing after, you know, shooting somebody, you know?
Yep. As I said, I'm calling them kill permits instead of badge numbers. So
I'm going to have to start doing that.
Yeah. I call them. I've been calling them kill permits for like the last 6 months. I was like, what's your kill permit? You know, and it's just like at this point is I'm just wondering who am I paying to be my assassin because I pay my taxes to pay my assassinator because it gets ridiculous. You know, it gets ridiculous on how ignorant of the law people are being when it comes. Nice little bunny ear, Cybertron.
Yeah, that's my 9-year-old son.
But yeah, it gets ridiculous on how unaccountable the cities are and pretty much how the government's treating its citizens. It's like, you know, if you kill off all the citizens in the world, do whatever you want.
Yeah, you guys have to forgive me. I've started at like 2:00 this morning. That's why I wasn't on cam. So, and it's a bad
You're a
picture
truck
too.
driver.
I am indeed. I told anybody I talk to, I'll tell them I'm a truck driver. I own my own company. So
yeah, dude,
No, I am
a
too.
sweet beard, bro.
I'm a CDL holder. I drive a local route, well, a regional route from Denver to Dallas and back 4 days a week, and I have 3 days off.
yeah, I'm OTR.
Yeah, anytime you are in Dallas, you'll have to go ahead and give me a shout out. Definitely.
Oh yeah,
Get some steak or something.
I'll be in Louisiana tomorrow.
So, Cybertron, what do you think about the Georgia hate crime bill?
I'm gonna have to familiarize it with her. Can you just give me a brief rundown on it?
United, you want to take this one? Because I think you explained it a little bit better.
Basically, it breaks down what since the crimes that happened in Georgia, they wanted to add a level of additional punishment to crimes against people, you know, of certain ethnicities and you know, different backgrounds, however they define themselves. So they wanted to add that. Well, they had a separate bill for police protection. And what they did was under, I think it was HB 438 was the police protection one, and HB 838 was the hate crime bill. Well, they took, because there was so much backlash on the 438, they took it and combined it with the 838, reclassified the police officers as a class and first responders with them as a class now, instead of, you know, they're a function of the government. Now they're a class that they can sue you for, you know, if they consider it a hate crime against them. So you're in the, you know, if they're arresting you for something and you make some what's the word I'm looking for, defamatory statement to them, they can sue you in civil court.
Wait. I thought the state couldn't be the victim.
They can now.
Yep.
It's just, Jesus Christ. I mean, come on, that's just stupid.
Well, the ACLU and the NAACP have really come down hard on this, and it doesn't go into effect until January 1st of next year. I think it's probably going to reach the upper courts before that time, and it'll probably get revoked out of the bill. I don't know if HB 838 will totally be dismantled because of it, but at least that section of it will be, because, I mean, there's court cases, Supreme Court cases that say that, you know, the integrity of an officer is above the remarks somebody's making to them. So, you know, they shouldn't have this kind of recourse. I mean, a police officer isn't a class. I mean, it's not an ethnicity. It's not how someone defines themselves. It's a job, you know, in the government. It's not a class.
You know, it doesn't surprise me. Here in Colorado, we had a bill called 112, and they were pushing for harder regulations on oil field workers, and that would basically hurt our jobs. We said no to it. The entire state of Colorado, unanimously, like 83% of Colorado said, no, we don't want this bill to pass. And then 2 weeks later, Jared Polis pulled out Senate Bill 181, which basically did the same thing right behind our back without anybody having a say-so in it. So now basically the oil field shut down in Colorado. And it brought $32 billion into the state, which is just stupid that you would get something rid of that. So having a bill like this hate crime act, hate bill just getting passed, it doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't.
Yeah, I see it as a way to just really get away with more misconduct, you know, and it goes to the point where officer may be having a bad day, and I say that's probably the worst job for you to have, or probably the best job, depending on your perspective, to have a bad day, because you can take your bad energy out on anybody and say, you know, as I said before, if they say, "Oh, I hate you, you dirty little pig," you know, little piglet, anything else, or you know, say anything.
I want to put a different twist on this, and something for you to think about. So you're driving down the road and you see an accident, or you see something going on where the police are there, and you glance over and just some look. Okay. Now remember, they have police power, and they see you look at them like that. Not only do they have this thought in their mind that maybe you don't like something that they did, but now they've got the power to pull you over for what you just did. And then they get to question you about what you just did and determine whether or not it was some form of hate towards them. I mean, think about that. That's how dangerous this is.
It's really bad.
Yeah, I see what you mean. That's going to be basically, that's going to hit to an officer. That's okay. And now they're going to be like, that's hate. Or you just like the blue line. That's hatred toward the blue line.
Yeah. I think classifying the police officers as a class of people other than a profession is going to be a very toxic country.
Okay, so here's my thought. If they're able to class the police as a class of people, couldn't I?
It looks like Cybertron froze out.
Yeah.
And not gather a bunch of my friends and I can claim. Did you hear what I said, or do I need to repeat it?
go
Go ahead
back
and
on it.
repeat it.
Oh, I said if they are able to pass this and classify officers as a class, could I not gather all my friends who like Transformers and
right in the middle of you going same place where you're fixing to explain it. It was like nothing.
all right, let me try this again. Let me turn my cam off. There.
Yeah, it might
Can
be
you hear
the
me
video.
okay?
I can
All
hear
right.
you fine.
If they're able to class people, those officers as a class of people, could I not gather all my friends who like Transformers as Cybertronians?
I think now here's I think is a loophole, right? So I think if you go to the state and you have a group of people and you want to go ahead and say you're a group of Cybertronians and you want to call it a religion, technically they can't deny it as long as you do it on the paperwork. You could be classified as a religion, tax free as well.
Cybertron, use what we do as an example of that. We're drivers. This is an industry where you're a class like the police are of, what is it, like 6 million drivers out here right now? You have 6 million drivers considered a class that could fall under this hate crime bill. I mean, think of it that way.
Right, I see what you mean.
Guys, who wants to become a Cybertronian? Because I really think signing up for that religion will be awesome.
Well, one of the big things about my new Cybertronian religion is that having police contact is the ultimate in disrespect.
Oh.
Yeah, and I think it's good because guess what? If you say, "Hey, this is against my religion to speak to you," and they're like, "Well, you have to speak to me. I have to investigate." Well, you're violating my First Amendment right, man. What's going on with this already? I'm trying to practice my religion. Easy court case. I think that'd be great. Let's get the paperwork, Cybertron.
Next time I get pulled over by DOT, I'm pulling that card.
You know how, as silly as this sounds, there's a way to get around the DOT officers. You just tell them your truck identifies as a Prius and doesn't fall under commercial regulations.
Oh man.
They get mad at me when they always ask questions, and I'm very vague. Like, where are you coming from? Point A. Where are you going to? Point B.
Point B.
Yeah, mine's always it's in the graph.
Oh man. But yeah, that hate crime bill is definitely crazy. What else did we discuss today? The hate crime bill.
The Brady list.
Brady list, which I'm surprised. I really think they need to have a law that implements the Brady list into all, hiring done in Nevada, or was it not Nevada, Arizona, and really everywhere. I think if they implemented that, that'll reduce the amount of officers that are hired with, previous crimes and previous, violations of the law like they had. Obviously you wouldn't want that person, saying rather you deserve a ticket or to go to jail.
Cybertron, I want to go over something, and again, I'm coming back to the truck driver thing, but think of this. There's 3 reports that when you're getting hired on with someone that your employer gets to look at, and one of those is the DAC. They renamed it, but I can't even think of what the name of it is now. But that DAC is something that companies report. Now get this. This is going to blow your mind, G-Tag. So if you get hired someplace and they do a background check, they can't call the company up and say, what was your performance like? All they can ask is, did you work there? That's it. That's all they can ask under regulations. As a truck driver, that company that you've worked for gets to document everything that you did within that company, and it goes on a report that anybody that's an employer can look at. Whether it's something that happened to you personally, professionally, it's all on this report that another employer can look at. Yet the police get that privacy that we don't get.
Yeah, I never heard of a hiring position where my background doesn't matter. Like, that's crazy. How you doing, Joe Black, aka Joe Tactical?
What's going on, Jeff?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good.
I was just looking up some stuff and found something I thought was quite interesting. Apparently, the hate crime bill, they tried to put the law enforcement and, well, first responder stuff in there, but it violated several things, so they couldn't do that. So they just made another law as well, which then protects first responders.
Which law did they enact?
Well, they had first did the a hate crime bill, which they couldn't put first responders in there, so they did a sort of new police protection law. I haven't got the. I was looking in this article that's if it has the actual laws. You know,
I think Georgia is when they did that. It was actually the police crime bill was HB 438, and that was getting a lot of flack. So they were talking about doing away with it, but in a procedural move, and late at night, they pushed it over to the HB 838, which was the original hate crime bill, was 838, and put it inside that bill and actually signed it off into legislation.
So basically, what you're saying is they're doing a bunch of shit that's going to make people take them to the Supreme Court over this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Possibly. If they had left it in there as the one bill in legislation, then yeah, they could have. But now that they've taken it out of that one and done it as two separate ones, then I'm not sure if they can be taken to court over it.
Well, I think it's the ACLU and the NAACP, and I keep saying this, and I don't know if you could find the videos on it, but they have said that they will take this to the upper courts, and they said that it may destroy the hate crime bill, but they can always rewrite another hate crime bill because they don't want that police and first responder section in there. That's why HB 438 was being shot down so much, and they just tried to sneakily move in an overnight procedure. I think it was at midnight or something like that when no one was up and could see what they were doing, and they just put it in there, signed it off, and the governor signed it.
Yeah, I hate sneaky politics.
Hey, you look at it this way, guys. Remember, I believe it's the 9th Amendment to the Constitution. If there's not a statute on what I'm doing, I have the right to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I'm hoping qualified immunity is taken out. I hate the fact that if an officer is to violate your rights, but there's no law in the books about it, it pretty much didn't happen in the court's eyes. You know what I mean?
Right. Cybertron, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know Colorado took the lead on qualified immunity, getting rid of it. But aren't there other states that are following up on the same thing, but there's certain requirements that have to be met before they actually eliminate it?
I'm not too sure. I just know that in Colorado, it was pretty blunt wording. It basically, if you violate somebody's civil rights, you have no qualified immunity.
I did hear something from someone saying they were looking to possibly do that in another state as well. May have been California, but I could be wrong.
Well, also,
that
also coincides with 13-21-128, which says we have the right to film law enforcement in their public duty. We have a CFR on that. Whereas everybody else just quotes, my First Amendment rights, freedom of the press, and then, Click versus Cuniff and Fordyce versus Seattle. but Colorado actually has a CFR specifically on that. And if they take your camera and delete the footage, you can claim you had 6 videos on there, and they give $500 a pop for them back.
Yeah, I think all the different circuits have, like Missouri, they go back on that one bill, but actually what the judges said in that one was that, people have the right to do it, to film police officers, and there doesn't need to be extra legislation stating it or, any type of thing. It's already there, and as people misquote that ruling from the Supreme Court in that district.
Yeah, I don't like. I don't know what to think about all this stuff. What do you guys think would in general? What would you think your perfect world would be regarding all this information that we learned today?
I think the Brady list needs to be. There needs to be a regulation on that where it is reported. There's no. Well, we might do it, we might not. It will get done. I mean, it's going to go on there. I think that would be a step in the right direction. Qualified immunity needs to be gone. Just like doctors have, their, what do they call it? Their insurance for protection and bonded and all that. Police should have the same thing.
I've just found the numbers if anyone's interested on the House bill numbers.
Go ahead.
It was originally in House Bill number 426, which had some, language in it which covered other protected groups and added, first responders in it. But because everyone was objecting, they took it out of that one and then just snuck it into a House Bill number 838. So it does basically exactly the same thing as the one would have, but now it's in 2. Yeah, and they did it sort of quite late at night.
Yeah. The sneaky politics.
Yeah, I did a little background. I got the number wrong. It's 426, but yeah, I mean, I looked into it, and I actually told GTAG about it, and I was like, yeah, this is. And to be honest with you, I actually read it from another YouTube site, and I'm like, what is this guy talking about? And I had to go through and find it, and I'm like, it's not showing up in any of the U.S. codes and any bills that they're passing. And I just typed it in, and I said, well, Georgia's got something about that. And I read through it, and I'm like, okay, this is what they're talking about. So I dug into it. I'm like, I watched some videos. There's one on the ACLU where they were speaking about it and how toxic the bill is.
I see it toxic.
I think what needs to happen is, it takes 2 years and a degree to learn how to cut hair. I think officers have too easy a way for the path to become a cop. I think a cop needs to go for 2 years and have massive training on our rights, what they're allowed to do, and actually pay their way through to become a cop, because it's too easy for some bully to just graduate high school and get a gun and shoot somebody.
Also, it'd be a good idea if they had a yearly physical and,
psychiatric evaluation.
Well, I would say efficacy. Well, not the word. Ethical test.
So I'm gonna throw this way off topic. You know what I like to do is I play on the computer sometimes. I go into like Grand Theft Auto role play, right? And what that is people will actually y'all should look this up sometimes. People will actually go into play the game Grand Theft Auto, and they got a mod where they pretend to be cops, right? They play as cops. They have little codes and everything, speed numbers, traffic infractions, everything. They make sure you're following the street lights in Grand Theft Auto. Now, picture playing Grand Theft Auto and obeying all the traffic signs and all the street codes. And if someone assaults you, they call the police and they come over to you. And I go in there and I watch their streams and I ask them the same question. How you doing, that's Nathaniel? Mr. All right. But what I asked him, I said, hey, if I was outside filming your department, on the sidewalk, is that okay? And the first thing I do is I see from a subscriber and they say, oh, that's suspicious as hell, man. What are you filming for? I said, man, like what? I can't just film here? Like, I just want to film. Now, again, this is all role play. These guys think this is how cops should act. First thing the guy does, he pulls out his little baton because it's a mod. He pulls out his baton and he beats me with it and tells me to stop resisting. He arrests me and says he was acting suspicious on the sidewalk. And they give me 3 years. I said, okay, you give me 3 years for taking film. I said, wow, this is fucking crazy. This is how the world thinks, and we're letting a lot of people believe that cops should behave this way. And I'm surprised to actually see a lot of cops actually do, or a lot of citizens believe that cops should be behaving this way, as in the hate bill crime, that they should be a protected class. They believe that if you're doing that as filming outside of a police station, it's called police baiting when you're doing something lawful. Again, if you guys go to like Twitch or something, just type in cop roleplay GTA 5, something like that. And ask them those simple questions. I had somebody ban me from their channel from asking those simple questions. If I was to film outside the police station, he got scared. He was like, what? No, you can't do that. That's freaking weird. That's crazy. And he banned me from his channel. I can never go to this guy's channel and watch him roleplay because he got freaked out and because I said, hey, can I go film this police station in a video game? But that being said, I'm just like ranting about crazy stuff. But what do you guys think should be done with? What do you think would happen if the hate crime bill was enacted around the whole U.S.?
Well, there's only about 3 or 4 states that don't have a hate crime bill. But you're not talking about a hate crime bill, you're talking about protecting the police bill.
Right.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. How do you think that would affect everything going forward if it was enacted around the whole entire U.S.?
Well, I can't speak, totally for the US since I don't live there. But the way that some police abuse every other power they've got, you've got to think that one might get slightly abused as well.
What do you think, Cybertron?
I don't know. I saw a video in the UK. I think it was in Essex or Bristol. The guy got arrested for not giving out his details because he was filming the police department from the sidewalk.
Yep.
I think it's a bad move. It really, it's stripping your rights of free speech away from you. It's actually giving the police more authority than they need to have. Another way to abuse their power and put people, literally this could break people to the point where they just can't survive anymore. They're going to go to civil litigation over what's perceived to be a hate crime and have to pay for it, even if they are victorious in it. Now they spend all this money and it's pretty much ruined their life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just put in the chat, those are the things which can come under protected classes.
Yep. Cybertron dropped out. But yeah, I think it's all ridiculous. I got to go ahead and let me add him back in. There you go, buddy. I got about 15 more minutes, guys, before I have to go ahead and shut this off and take care of the little one. So
I got one thing to say before I got to go. We're cooking dinner. The way people are pissed off and protesting right now, I see it getting worse because a lot more people are having their eyes open as to what the police are doing, and cops are still doing it. We still have videos of people getting their neck kneeled on it. The dumbing down of society hasn't hasn't just hit a certain amount of people. It's hit everybody, including the people who have become police officers. So as you have people out there who don't know it's legal to film on public, you have officers who are ignorant of the law as well and what they can do to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to get worse before it gets better. And I think a couple cities are going to burn down before anything actually changes.
I certainly hope it doesn't come to that, but I do see things getting far, far worse than they are now. And, people just aren't awake. They see the police on the good front and the things that they want you to see. And, how did I figure all this out? I just picked up on YouTube and I just started watching these videos and I'm like, is this stuff really happening out here? And it really is. I mean, honestly, you can't go in and do these graphic changes on a video and say, look at what the police did. I mean, this is things that are actually happening out there. You don't see in the mainstream media, which is not what they want the general public to see. So the perception that the general public has is that, the police officers are just doing their jobs and this is really happening out there. Yes, there's good police officers and do credit to them. But I mean, when you look at the overall corruption within the system, it's going to get worse, and before it gets any better.
I used to be one of those people. I used to think that you couldn't report cops until I was just somehow, I forget what, I think I was looking up a toy video, and Eric Brandt happened to be a recommended feed. So I watched this Eric Brandt video, and I was blown away. I was like, what's this motherfucker doing? And, it got me into looking into the laws and realizing, holy shit, I didn't know you could do that, And I think a lot more people need to just be taught these lessons early on, because there's so many people who, you can't say that. Yeah, I can.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I think there was a video, I forgot who I watched. The lawyer who was representing the defendant basically said, there's a lot of people who will say, oh, the cops are just doing their job, or, just do what the cop says. And you know what? You can do that, but that's when we live in a police state and not America. At that point, you don't have any civil liberties if you're going to just go ahead and give it away, So unless we live in a police state, there's no reason to just do as you're told, or do as the police say, because then you're just stripping away your rights. You might as well not have them.
I keep seeing people say, just comply, just comply. Okay. I mean, everybody just comply, and now you're in a police state.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Joe Black, did you want to say anything about that?
Well, slightly off the current topic, but I want to know who idea was it in the sort of top brass of the police to react to people protesting police violence with police violence?
It's a great question, isn't it?
Because someone had to decide that.
There's actually videos out there, and if you watch some of the protests that were going on, you'll actually, and I know two right off the top of my head. One was in Houston, and then one was, I think it was in somewhere on the West Coast, where there was actually a police officer that went into the protest crowd to actually cause a disturbance that then the police could interact to arrest people.
Oh, there's much more than two videos of things like that.
I know there is. It's just two came to mind that really stand out.
Yeah, in my opinion, it was completely the police starting all the violence and riots, the looting. I'm not saying all the stuff was done by police, but I believe they started it mainly to make the peaceful protesters look bad.
Right. Now, the ones that I'll stand with the police on is where they're actually trying to clear the roadway. But where the people are actually on the sidewalk, they got no legitimate reason for hitting them. Like the old man 70 years old that they knocked over, and there's no legitimate reason for that. But if they're opening up the roadway, dude, if I don't care if you're protesting or not, get out of the road. They're trying to open things up. Protest from the sidewalk at that point.
Yeah. I actually don't agree with like blocking roads because, like, say if someone's having a medical emergency, you know, anybody, you know, could be having a medical emergency and not wanting to take an ambulance because, you know, in the U.S. it's $5,000 to take an ambulance. So I wouldn't want to take one either. Like, yeah, just get to the hospital. Let's drive. You know, oh, what's going on in front? Oh, people blocking the road. Get the fuck up the road, man.
You know, think about protests with this situation with the hate crime bill now. Think about that. I mean, you can't protest
You
your
actively
government now.
can't protest. I just thought about that. Yeah, you can't.
Arrest all the protesters for a hate crime against the police.
Well, that's kind of hateful against me, don't you think? I think well, why did you arrest you? He said I had a hate crime going on, but I think it's kind of hateful for him to say that I was being hateful there. I want to sue him too. Let's just sue each other.
Yeah, because the courts aren't clogged up enough.
But yeah, we got about 4 minutes here.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to bed, man. I've been up since 2 this morning, so I'm out.
No problem. Is there anything y'all wanted to say or promote or shout out anything like that before we
I don't.
disconnect?
Just everybody stay united. Everybody stay united. It's the only way you're going to get through all this.
All right. You, Joe Black?
I want to say I'm only in this for the money, and I bought all my subscribers.
All right.
GT, I will holler at you later. Joe, it's great talking to you. Cybertron, you have a good one.
Thank you, guys. And Soundminds, I did see your introduction here. Thank you for joining. I would like to say to everybody else, thank you for joining. Thank you for interacting with the open discussion. As y'all know, I don't accept donations, but if you do want to go ahead and donate to somebody, I do prefer the organization thorn.org. And again, that's thorn.org, which helps prevent human trafficking. Again, if you guys ever want to show a donation to me or show support for me, I don't accept the money, but I would prefer if you go ahead and give it to somebody who needs it. So therefore, thank you for joining. Love, peace, chicken grease. I do appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.